Who's the leader of the pack? Bringing legacy to you. Legacy, it's true. Stand up, gear up, join the fight. We're as fierce as we can be. With grit and might, we claim the night. We're the legacy. Legacy Club. Legacy Club.
Bingo. The bingo. The bingo. There we go. Yo, what up? What is cracking? I was going to say crack-a-lackin', but then that's felt too lame. I deeply apologize for clearing my throat in your ears again. And depending on how the levels work out, blowing your eardrums out. Hi. Hello again, and welcome back to the Legacy Club podcast. My name is Justin, a.k.a. The Portuguese Problem, a.k.a. Udego Fuego, a.k.a. That's all I got right now. That's all I got. We're flying by the seat of our pants. Is it seat of our pants? We're flying by the seat of our pants. Could be seam. Seat sounds a bit better. But I never really know. I never really know much of anything. But I suppose for those of you returning, that's why you're returning. Because you want to see me act foolishly, as I so frequently do. My family is currently at the zoo, the Nashville Zoo, with some family friends. And I was blessed by my wife to have the house to myself. Well, mostly to myself. So that's why the scenery here is a bit different. Recorded during the daytime. Look out the window. It's the day when it's usually the night. So I don't really know how much time I'm going to have to do this, but we're going to utilize all the time we get because that's what being productive is. That's what being a family-centric content creator is all about. Utilizing the free time you got. I didn't have a whole lot of free time. Oh man, here we go. Things have been falling apart around me lately. Not emotionally or spiritually or anything like that, but physically, not myself per se. I've actually been pretty good. I've actually been pretty strong. I've been consistent with hitting my jiu-jitsu classes. Talked to another one of our coaches, Ronnie the Heat Lawrence of UFC notoriety, about doing some MMA classes with him. So physically of my body, I'm not broken currently for now. I'm rolling with blue belts. That's why. But structurally, it's kind of been an ish show around our house. Our refrigerator has decided to stop functioning properly. So that was one thing. And then our kitchen sink, it's really just our kitchen that's been falling apart. Our kitchen sink had a backup in it, so it wasn't draining properly. And I don't know, man. Sometimes I take on more. I bite off more than I can chew. There's another saying. That one I know for sure. Sometimes I bite off more than I can chew, and I think my capabilities range wider than they really do. So what should be pretty straightforward and easy for most men, a street rat punk rock kid from Ocean Beach, San Diego, California, I'm not a plumber, even in the most basic sense. Well, that's not true. in the most basic sense, I was able to install a kitchen faucet on my own fairly effortlessly. But unclogging this drain was a task beyond my capabilities. So we had to have a plumber come out. Well, it was beyond that. So I live in a very old home. Our house is very old. And with that comes problems that old houses love to offer. And in trying to, I disassembled the plumbing under the sink, which is ultimately where everything went wrong. I disassembled that, and I got a snake, and I tried to plunge it, like, not plunge it, but snake it. And I made some headway with that, or so I thought. But the reassembly of the plumbing under the sink was way beyond my pay grade. I very much could not do, I couldn't do it because the wall, the drain outlet, the threading inside it corroded. So I couldn't screw anything back in. I made some shot in the dark moves, which made things worse. And ultimately I had to cave and call our friend Alex, our friend and go-to plumber, to come and save me. I always feel very foolish when I have to text him, because I feel as though, thank God for plumbers, thank God for electricians, thank God for men who know how to do things with their hands. And they have the know-how and the resources and tools and everything. I don't have the know-how, the resources, or really the tools. I have basic tools to do what I need, but I didn't have the tools to do this. And it made me feel a little bit better with how much he ultimately had to do. He didn't necessarily have to do it, but he's a good guy, and yeah, works out. If you're in Nashville, Tennessee, what are they called? Sailing plumbing. They are a godsend. So use them if you're in Nashville. But at the same time, if I need help, I come first. You know what I mean? If you call them and ask, hey, can you come out and help me? Make sure you be like, hey, does Justin need you first? Because if I need them first, I take priority here. But ultimately he had to come, and he just essentially like rerouted our drainage system in there, and it's costing me quite a bit of money, but ultimately a necessary amount of money, because we had the old like cast iron piping over there, and it just like corroded. So I think what ultimately was clogging the drain was the corrosion itself, and that wasn't going to go away. That was only going to get worse with time. So yeah, we had to do that, and that took up quite a bit of the free time that I had to do something like this. So I was working on some other edits, and while he was here, but as soon as he left, I was like, I got to do something, because it has been quiet on the podcast front for a little bit, and I'm trying not to do that anymore. I'm trying to be as consistent as possible, get episodes up weekly. Last week didn't happen so much because everything's been falling apart. You know what I mean? And then that mixed with my son Rhodes has not been very accommodating with going to sleep at a reasonable hour every night. So it's been one thing stacking upon the other, to where it just hasn't been podcast accommodating. And I know it sounds like a lot of excuses, but it's just reality. It's reality. And you know what? A lot of this podcast, I like to incorporate reality, because maybe you listening out there or watching this on the YouTubes and Rumbles and whatnots, maybe you can empathize. Maybe you're like, man, everything in life feels out of control. I don't know. I don't have any time to be me or be productive or fulfill my passions. it happens. It happens. And I want to let you know you can do it. There is a light at the end of every tunnel. It's always darkest before the dawn. It's another saying that I also know is correct because of Batman. But yeah, here we are. So this may be a short one. We may be able to go the full time. I don't know. That's all up in the air. That's all up in the air as of now. But we're gonna make do with what we got. We're gonna make do with what we got. Spend some time together, and in the end, content is being created, so I can still hold the title of content creator. That was a lot. That was a lot of word vomit, but it's just real. It's real. That's what's happening. That's what's going on. I'm really excited to have a functioning kitchen sink again. He also helped out my water pressure in there, which I'm pretty stoked about. And we had a garbage disposal that decided to, stop working at a time. So I disassembled that, and we have one of those, kind of pretty standard dual tub kitchen sink, but we were limited to one tub because I took apart the garbage disposal and capped off the drain to that part. So we weren't able to utilize that side of the tub or the sink, but now we do. He helped us out with that too. So I'm excited to do dishes later. Yeah. And I still do dishes by hand because dishwasher doesn't work. It's keeping me humble. You know what I mean? Life keeps you humble. And if your life doesn't keep you humble, then you need to do some harder things. Go do jiu-jitsu. That will humbleize you. Very much so. Speaking of, I've been very, very humbleized in my jiu-jitsu classes as of late because I'm still a wee lowly white belt. You may argue the fact that I could stand to use a stripe or two above where I'm at. But that comes to the discretion of Sugar Sean Allen, my jiu-jitsu coach. He decides when I get promoted. I sent him a rash guard that I found yesterday. I texted it to him because he was asking me if I could cover some classes for him next week. Kids classes. I'm in no way capable to do any sort of guidance in an adult class, but kids, I can help out. I can wrangle mostly. I have an accommodating personality that meshes well with children because I have so many of my own, and mentally, I think I'm stunted at 9 years old because that was when my most traumatic experience in life happened. And they say when you experience a childhood trauma, you can be stunted at that level. And you know what? Maybe I am, and I'm okay with that. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, I sent him a rash guard that I found, and I'm not going to be able to wear it until I'm a blue belt. But it's a bluey rash guard, which nothing says, hey, look at me, I'm a tough guy at an MMA gym, than wearing a bluey rash guard. But it's bluey belt. So I don't know. I probably could wear it now, but it would give off the wrong impression. Also, I've really taken to when you do gi, when you wear your gi, it's like the jiu-jitsu pajamas. When you wear those and you have your belt, there's no confusion of your rank because your belt shows your rank. But in no gi, when you're just wearing a rash guard and some like fight shorts and tights or whatever, you can definitely mislead people, or you can definitely hide your rank. And I've kind of been doing that unintentionally. back when I was still calling everything Skeleton Crew, I made some Skeleton Crew rash guards, which I'm going to do some Legacy Fight Company rash guards. I just got to post them to the site. I got to design them too. But it was all black with our old Skeleton Crew skull on the front. So that could be like, oh, he's wearing a black rash guard. You're using a black belt. And I'm the furthest thing from, I'm not the furthest thing. If I had no stripes, then I would be the furthest thing from a black belt. But I'm definitely not one to be walking around in all black on the mats. You know, that's just not right. So, and then my other rash guards, I have like a Portugal rash guard that's like has a Portuguese flag on it, go figure. And then I have another rash guard, which is Snow White, Disney's Snow White. It's Snow White belt. That one's actually accurate because it says white belt on it. But that's not the thing that stands out the most. What stands out the most is Snow White holding like a bird, and all the dwarves around her are unconscious because she choked them all out. That's a fun one to wear at the kids' classes because I go, why are they all dead? Because they have X's on their eyes, which is an interesting design choice because X's do, to be fair, represent death, you know, when they're on cartoon characters. I don't think human in real life dead bodies have X's on their eyes when they pass away, but I haven't encountered a whole bunch of dead bodies personally. Yeah, so I'm rocking my elite rash guard with the white sleeves, symbolizing I am thus a simple white belt. That I've lost track on the point I was trying to make with that. But anyhow, in classes now, I'm really strictly and primarily trying to only roll with blue belts right now. Mostly because the class I go to is a culmination of white belts and some blue belts. No purple belts or anyone higher than blue belt, really. I don't have a lot to offer a purple belt when it comes to practicing, but a blue belt, I definitely can offer some sort of like resistance and survive more so than I can with higher ranked belts. If you are, I'm going to throw this out there. If you're not doing jiu-jitsu, you should. And if you are going to start, or you have just started, or you've been doing it for some time, and you are a white belt, listen to me. I've hit the experience level where I understand how not to be frantic on the mats when, you know, you're rolling with somebody, fighting, you know. Not every white belt knows that. Not every white belt recognizes that when you're in class, that's practice. You're not going to win a medal. You're not going to win a belt. You're not going to win a trophy. You're not going to win anything. You're there to learn, practice. So don't treat your rolling partners as if there's some sort of reward at the end of class. There's not. Over-aggressive white belts, you know, to the common man or woman, to the lay person, you could ask them, hey, what's the most dangerous belt to come in contact with in a jiu-jitsu class? And people would naturally go, black belt, of course. No, not true. White belts. New white belts are the most dangerous people you can roll with because they have yet to learn not to fight for their life. Wherein, when you're being choked, there is an element of like, if this person doesn't let go, I will die, or I'll at least go unconscious. So there is that fear that you fight against of like, I don't want that to happen, so let me give it my all, do whatever I can to prevent that from happening. Well, oftentimes when you do whatever you can to prevent that from happening, that's when injuries occur. And more often than not, you're going to injure your partner because you're being dumb. I've broken a toe. I've bruised a rib. I have a bad knee that's been compromised, recompromised, all from engaging with less than confident white belts. So to remedy that, I do my best not to roll with a white belt of any degree, of any level. There are exceptions, because in class maybe there's only 2 blue belts and you got to make the rotations when you're going live. And you're inevitably going to roll with somebody your own rank, or you know what I mean. You're going to encounter white belts. And hopefully they hold the same mentality of, this is practice, okay? We're definitely trying to choke and submit each other, but it's not worth damaging anybody to prevent that from happening. Or, I don't know, man. It's the overly offensive people. The overly offensive people, they're the ones who cause the utmost problems. In my experience, now where I'm at, I definitely focus on defense. And that's really what being a white belt is learning how to survive, is providing the resistance necessary to avoid being choked without, being a freak about it. So it's been good lately. I have the class I've been going to, the time of the week, time of day. I got a pretty good couple partners that I can roll with. One for sure, pretty frequently. And he's very kind to me. He's very kind, wherein he knows my rank. He sees my belt. So, and he could roll with like people who have more stripes than I do. But I don't know, we have this understanding of like, he knows where I'm at, I know where he's at, he knows what I'm capable of. And yeah, it works out. It works out well. I haven't been injured. I haven't even left class feeling like a tweak or a twinge. So it's all been good. It's all been great. Yeah. I lost momentum there. I need to slow down. I need to find a zen place in this episode so I stop rambling so quickly that I forget my point. But anyway, Jiu-Jitsu is great. You should do it. What's going on in the world? What's going on with life? Voting time's coming up. It's almost time to vote. I'm not going to get political. Because nobody here, you don't listen to this podcast for my politics. But at the same time, here's something. So once upon a time, months ago, former President Donald Trump was shot in the head. And there are people who are on the far left side of things who may hear me say that and they'll try to downplay the situation. But in all reality, there was an assassination attempt on his life. He turned his head at just the right moment, to just enough of a degree to where the bullet didn't penetrate his skull and just like nicked his ear. People who hate Trump can definitely be like, oh, it just hit his ear. What's a big... Dude, it hit his ear by the grace of God. Like, there's no feasible reason why on earth he just happened to turn his head in time as the bullet is en route to his skull. Like, it happened. It happened. It was insane. It's maddening. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's crazy that anybody tries to downplay that. Well, if you know me and you've been following this podcast for a while, you have an idea where I stand on things. My whole life, my whole adult life, I've never once engaged in the presidential elections. I've never voted. I've always held a stance of it's all a scam. It's all nonsense. The two-party system is all an illusion. No matter who you vote for, it's always the same agenda, no matter what they say. What they do never seems to match what they say. It's one coin with two sides, but ultimately, no matter what side of the coin you're on, it's still the same coin, and the same things are going to continue to happen. Well, that all changed. That all changed for me when they tried to shut down the world. When they did shut down the world. And I was faced with a reality of like, oh, there's an uncomfortable and unreasonable amount of control that these people have. And as time progresses, and as time had progressed from the pandemic, I finally felt the political landscape starting to affect my life in a very direct way where I notice. And I've been forced to get involved. I got my voter registration card for the first... That's not true. I did get my voter registration card, but I feel like I've registered to vote previously, but it was like back when people would stand outside of like Target and be like, have you registered to vote? And then you sign some stuff, like fill out some paperwork there with them and just to shut them up. So this time around, when I got my license renewed, I got the form, filled it out, sent it off, got my card. I'm voting this time. I am voting this time. And that angers me. That angers me because I was very comfortable in my centrist, independent, not caring approach to it all. Because I don't like to play games where I know there's no possible way to win. And up until now, I saw no reason involving myself because it was all a sham. My uncle is a very politically passionate man, and he's conservative, proudly so. And growing up, you know, I was always that punk rock kid, like anti-establishment, anti-authority, just, you know, I was never an anarchist. Anarchy to me, via the definition I've always understood, never made sense to me. Lawlessness, people who want lawlessness don't know bad guys. And given my upbringing, I was blessed to know a number of bad guys. And that's to say, like, you know, there weren't bad guys, but per conventional society, one could argue that they are bad guys, you know, criminals. And in knowing pretty directly, you know, these brand of criminals, I always knew, like, there has to be some sort of oversight here, because when you take away the oversight, these maniacs, they're scary dudes. They're scary. There are scary people in this world, and we can't let them run amok. You know what I mean? Good dudes when it comes to being friends, less than good dudes when it comes to their involvement in society. Now, I never took qualms with anything. I never saw anything like super detrimental with what I personally saw and knew of with said band of criminals. So it was really just kind of like, whatever. I saw a lot of the good, honestly. And they were always good to me. So but even being good to me and seeing firsthand the good, I always knew. I always had the understanding, like, if these guys did not have any sort of chain, it's like a pit bull. You know what I mean? It's like a pit bull. Now, pit bulls are, in my opinion, just the greatest dogs to own. I don't believe that I'll ever get a dog personally that is not a pit bull. Now, my wife and kids may want other breeds, but if it's left up to me, I will always have a pit bull in my life. That being said, the good nature, the sweet nature, the loving nature of pit bulls, if they are not well maintained and restrained, the damage they could do is astounding, to put it lightly. So yeah, these guys that I grew up with essentially are pit bulls. You know, as long as there's some sort of like umbrella of consequence and restriction, guidelines, as long as there is some sort of realm of a degree of authority, they're not going to run free and rip chihuahuas apart. You know what I mean? The human equivalent to a chihuahua. So I've always been punk rock. I've always been like I said, anti-establishment, anti-authority in the way of like, I understand that authority can be abused and corrupted. So authority figures I recognize as human. They're all human, and humans, no matter what, have the capability of being horrific. It's in everybody. There's no person alive or dead. There's no human that existed that didn't have the capability of, darkness in them. And I don't care who you are. The Dalai Lama, the Pope, priests, maybe Mother Teresa. Maybe she was flawless, but I don't know anything beyond the face value of Mother Teresa. Maybe she had some dark thoughts. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. You never know. And the aura of not knowing is enough for me to presume that there is a capability for malice, So yeah, I've never been of the anarcho mindset, and I think people who are either don't understand what anarchy means, or they've never themselves have. I'm looking out the window to see if I can see the car coming around the corner, because that means the episode is over. The people who've never, I don't know, have had experienced or faced or been in contact with people capable, like outwardly acknowledging their capacity for dark deeds. Ignorance is bliss is basically what I'm getting at. That's just internally burped. Sorry. That's also another saying that I'm confident that I got right. So anyhow, where was I going with all this? Oh, where I stand. Yeah, man. So being my punk rock self and having my own feelings and opinions of authoritative figures, I've never cared to involve myself in politics, but I believe that's the wife. We may pick this up again at nighttime. So, cut, and we'll reconvene. Okay. And a whopping 12 hours later, we're back. As you can see, it is no longer daylight. Do you want to take a life? I'm looking at my kid. He's over there. It's far too late for him to be up, but what are you going to do? I'm a cool dad. I don't even know what I was talking about anymore. I got Danzig on the brain. Been listening to a lot of Danzig lately. You know, I took some time off listening to solo Danzig because it had some less than optimal memories tied to it. That ever happened to you? Something you love so much can be so soured by somebody else. But I think I'm good. I think I'm over it now. I've really been I've had it on repeat, like all the albums. Well, that's not true. I kind of teeter off at Danzig 3. Then it gets a little too, I don't know, a little The first 3 albums are great. First album is the best one. I'm willing to argue. Danzig 2 is pretty good though too. But anyhow, never stop listening to the Misfits though, because the same person that soured Danzig for me was less into the Misfits. They were more Danzig solo era. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. The ultimate takeaway from that is don't let others sour things you love for you. And you know, given that it's spooky season, Danzig, it just feels, feels right. It's moody. It's moody for the spooky season. Where do we leave off? Oh yeah. Political mumbo jumbo. Before I jumped back in, I looked to see how much I had gotten recorded before hopping off. That was a solid 35 minutes. It's nothing to be, bummed out about. I got a fair amount. I got a fair amount in the bag. The bag. I don't know. My brain's kind of loopy at the moment. Because it's very late now. And I don't know, I'm a creature of the night though. It's not too bad. I'm usually up past this hour anyhow. I usually am awake still at this hour, but oftentimes I'm just too brain fogged to try and record. But you know what? We're not going to let obstacles stand in our way this time. We're gonna press through. You're good, homie. Baney Boy's so respectful when it comes to not wanting to cause a ruckus when I'm recording. Bane, by the way, has his own YouTube channel. It's our Leal Legacy Gaming channel. So if you want to hear him do kind of stuff like this, but not really stuff like this, it's not a podcast. But if you want to hear him make all kind of crazy sounds and noises while he games, that's where you can do it. That's better. I prefer this to be down there. I'm not entirely where I want to be in the frame either. Uh-oh. Let's see if I can fix that. I don't want to mess with it. I'll just sit up more straight. Have better posture. Do I want to dive back into where I was going? I'm not entirely certain I know where I was going earlier, but I feel like a thought needs to be completed. You don't venture down a path and then divert. You can. Sometimes you find the best adventures that way. What's your favorite Danzig album? I want to know. You know what the best Misfits album is? Walk Among Us. And if you disagree, you're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. Yeah, let's see. We were talking about anarchy, and I'm not an anarchist because I'm familiar with villains needing to be restrained or have some semblance of being restrained. But I'm kind of bored. I'm bored with that path I was going down. I'm bored with all of it. I think I'm just bored with the majority of humanity. For the most part. It sounds dark. That sounds... My ear itches. Inside my ear itches. Maybe there's a spider in there. I saw a video on Instagram of somebody cleaning their ear out and a spider came out. And now I have a terrible fear that that's going to happen. Because there are quite a bit of spiders in my house. Like, I feel like an amount that would make most people uncomfortable, but I've lived with it for so long that it's not a big deal. I set out spider traps, and those things get full. I don't think they're dangerous spiders. They might be. I've yet to be bitten, but did I just jinx myself? Did I just jinx myself in two ways? Is a spider going to crawl into my head and bite me in my head? Man, can you imagine if a brown recluse bit you in your head? Because those bites get gnarly. That's like some flesh rotting spider venom kind of bites. Can you imagine your flesh rotting from within your head? I'm in a weird place right now. I don't want to think about that anymore. So maybe we should get back on the task at hand from earlier. Yeah, I'm going to vote. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And even saying that feels gross to me. It's how you say it gives me the ick, which saying that gives me the ick too. My wife and I are watching Love is Blind, and that's like a thing they're saying that that I don't watch a lot of trash TV, but my wife and I like that one a lot. We got on into that show during the pandemic, and we watch every season. And I watch it for the train wrecks. She watches it for the hope of romance and people finding happily ever after. I watch it to see less than desirable people try to convince themselves that they're not scumbags and they're not in it just to be on TV. And I like watching worlds collide in sometimes epic fashions. Does that make me a bad person? Maybe. But I'm sure there's a lot of other things that make me a pretty rotten person too. I don't think I'm rotten. I think I'm all right. I think I'm pretty good. Although, given my candidate selection, there probably are a lot of people out there who think I'm rotten. But here's the thing. I feel this election cycle, it's a battle of intelligence. You know what I mean? It's a battle of like who is capable of surpassing superficial elements and really latching on to a hope and a will for things to get better. Like, to me, there's a clear side in this two-party system. One side definitely wants to make things better. And the other side is just spewing the same nonsensical rhetoric that they always do, but never actually back up given the opportunity. The blue side, their candidate, She says, when I get into office, I'm going to do. Well, the catch here is this person's already been in office for like 3+ years and has yet to do anything resembling what they say their goals are. And that brings up another quandary of when you're already in a position of power, just do the things. Start doing the things. Run on already implementing the things you say you're going to do. Because I find that to be a much more valuable argument and a much more valuable tact in campaigning. Like, when you're already within the office, to say, I'm going to continue doing yada, yada, yada. Because that within itself is like, oh, okay, I can get behind that. I see that you've already begun doing the things you're saying you're going to do. So I have faith that maybe you'll see it through. But that's not what's going on. And it seems so common sense to me. It seems like a no-brainer, but people who are driven by superficial aspects of like, I want a woman president. I personally have no qualms with having a woman president. I just feel like pick one that's going to do good. Like, to be the first, quite a few arguments are, getting behind like the idea of the first female president. That's great, but I don't think you should just settle for anyone based on their gender. You know what I mean? Especially if it's like the first, a groundbreaking first. Don't you want this person to be optimal? Don't you want the first one to be the best one? Arguably, like, come out the gate swinging, hitting home runs. I don't know analogies that are sports related unless it's fighting. But you see what I mean, though? I don't think you should be like, yeah, it'd be really great to have a female president, girl power, and then choose somebody who is a horrific person. Because when they're not good, when they've, like, this person has already proven to be poor at their job, right? They already show you they're bad at it, and then you're going to give them this like prestigious honor of being a historical groundbreaker, and then they're going to go down in history with a reputation of being dog dukey. That seems to be counterintuitive. You want to look back on history and be like, this person was the first, and they did an astronomical job. But again, you got to get past the superficial nature of it all. Yeah. When Donald Trump got shot, I went to social media and I made a pretty like just straightforward post about like this is what leadership looks like. This is the kind of person you want to follow. Somebody who could take a bullet to the ear, to the head, and not cower in fear, but stand up ready to fight. Like that's the kind of thing Captain America would do. And I'm not by any means saying that Donald Trump is Captain America. Nobody is Steve Rogers. But that was such a bold move of just like of leadership. And I made a post, and it It got the reaction that you would expect from a lot of people. I lost hundreds. I lost hundreds of followers as a result, which I found to be hilarious. But it was a separation of stupid people, which I'm okay with. I don't want stupid people to be, entwined in my universe to any degree. But where am I going with this? To me, it's just so clear. Like, say what you want and say what you will about his personality and his public persona. That's not what any of this should be based on. It should be based on the drive to, somebody could have a distasteful personality, but if they're good at what they do, shouldn't that surpass what they present on the surface? That makes sense to me. And I don't know, man. The world is so topsy-turvy right now. And it bums me out. It bums me out because, well, let me finish last thing. I did that post, and shamefully, I took it down. I didn't take it down because of the reaction that I got from so many. There was a lot of support. There was a lot of interesting support, too. A lot of people who were like, yeah, and support, showed support for the stance I took. There were quite a few faces that I did not expect to see in my inbox and in the comments. And that provided me with some hope and reassurance that for the most part I've interacted with some reasonably minded folks. But shamefully I did take it down. I took it down because there was a job opportunity that I saw and that I went for with Disney. And I thought, whoever's hiring for this position with Disney, they're going to look at my social media and they'll see that. And I'm sure that will be a kill factor. That'll just take me out of contention for the position just because I've sided with an undesirable. So in an effort to better my odds, I took it down. I didn't get the position. I got a nice, little rejection email that was politely worded. But after the fact, I was like, man, how lame that I did that. How lame that I compromised myself to appease I keep doing these internal burps. I was doing it earlier too. I don't know what's wrong with my guts. Yeah, I did it to appease what word am I looking for? I did it to appease a totalitarian run company, if that makes sense. I love Disney. You know that. You know I am a proud Disney adult. And it bums me out where that company has landed in a number of ways. I feel like they've lost the original vision of its founder, of the great Walt Disney. But when that happened, something triggered within me where that was my last ditch effort in compromising myself to be part of something else. You know what I mean? I don't want to be a part of anything. I just want to be my own entity. So on my website, I designed my website in a way where I was offering like my services and know-how and skills out to, you know, others. And after that happened, I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Leal Legacy is just going to be home base for like my content creation and the content creation of my family, the Leal Legacy. Yeah. It really soured my disposition on. I already had a pretty sour disposition on the idea of working with others, but that was really the final nail in the coffin, where I don't want to compromise myself. I don't want to pretend I'm something I'm not to be part of something that I ultimately don't want to be a part of. You know what I mean? And I feel like the essence of free speech shouldn't play into unrelated opportunities. You know what I mean? Like it's like that idea of, you know, it's just being a poser, ultimately what it is. And I refuse to be that. I refuse to be a poser to please others. Because then you live a lie. And living a lie never results in anything of value. Now, had I gotten the position with Disney, I probably would have gotten like, you know, some sort of like a lot decent benefits when it comes to I don't know, being part of that legacy and being a part of that empire and having the perks that come along with it, like maybe park access or I don't know, other sort of like internal benefits. But the more I think about it, the more it's like it never would have been worth it. Because working there, I would have had to every day pretended I was someone I wasn't, being okay with things that I'm not. You know what I mean? So, I figure if you're still listening after understanding where I stand, after like listening to all the other episodes and whatnot, you either disagree with me, but you're okay with it, or you agree with me. And that's how it should be. You can agree or disagree. You can disagree with people and not like completely destroy the value you find in a person in all the other facets of their life and character. But that's not what the world is anymore. It's very tribal. We've gone the world, yeah, man, the world. I was going to say this country, but really it is the world that has become very, if you're not on my team, well, I'm going to come at you with, you know, pitchforks and torches. And that's wild to me. That's wild. And hopefully the party that I find to be holding the correct mindset comes out on top, and the pendulum swings the other way. The pendulum needs to stop swinging, though, ultimately. The pendulum just needs to be cut. It just needs to hit the middle and stop moving. Everyone should just be in the middle. You know what I mean? This idea of like sides and teams, like if you're a supporter of the left of the blue team, do you agree with every single aspect of what they stand for? Like everything? Or is it like a smorgasbord? You like some things, but then you look at the other side and you're like, I like some of the things over there too. It's a real all or nothing mentality in the world today. My wife has a way of getting me going. Like, she'll bring something up and I will just start, like, I'll start ranting and I'll start, foaming out the mouth and word vomit and stream of consciousness. And then she'll just check out and stop listening. And then I'm like, this is why I have a podcast, because I need to just have an outlet where I can let it fly, let my freak ideology, just reign supreme. And then I get behind the microphone and I just kind of, like, I don't know. Maybe this is why people do podcasts with others, because you have somebody to bounce things off of and help you stay on track. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just, it's become too much. It's become too much, and I'm horribly disappointed in all of it. I don't even want to talk about it anymore, because nobody wants to hear it. Is there anybody out there who wants to hear it? I don't think so. But hopefully when voting day comes around, and this is, like, disgusting to me, hopefully you take part in the game and fill out your piece of paper and hope for the best. But even then, dude, like, do those pieces of paper ultimately matter? Like, I truly don't believe that the system of voting isn't compromised. I think it's actually very compromised. I don't know. This really archaic way of doing it just seems so open to manipulation that who really knows? Who really truly knows if you're, quote unquote, doing your part means anything? Because you can go in there, you can cast your vote, but does it really matter? The Electoral College, in my opinion, that alone is proof that it doesn't matter. It should be based on 100% the popular vote. But even then, dude, can that truly be trusted? Because in California, the governor of California and his infinite just mode of manipulation, like, has outlawed the need to have, like, outlawed. It's a crime. It is a crime out there to require identification to take part in voting for the president of this country. Like, the most baseline requirement when it comes to voting, I feel like, should be proof that you are a citizen of this country. Like, in a state connected to another country, to say it's illegal to require a government issued identification to take part in voting for the leader of this country is baffling to me. Because the border does not exist right now. So however many people can just, like, hop over the fence that day and take part in the election year. Like, that's what it is. That's crazy to me. That's insane that you don't have to prove citizenship to vote for the leader of a country. It's wild. And if you disagree, how do you disagree? How can you say that that shouldn't be a necessary requirement? But you see what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's all a scam. It's all a scam. And they're still doing, like, mail-in votes. They did mail-in voting last time because of the pandemic. They're like, yeah, we're going to keep people safe, prevent people from getting sick and this virus from spreading. You know, you don't have to go to a polling place. You can do it from your home and send it in. And then it's just kind of like, well, how do we know where's the validity in that? Like, how are we to be ensured that votes make it to where they need to be? Votes aren't just magically produced out of thin air and be like, yeah, no, these came in by mail. These hundreds of thousands of votes over here, like, they were all sent in. Trust me. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a broken system. It's a broken system, but it's the only one we got. I'm highly convinced that this election will be quite possibly the last one. Because no matter what side wins, the other side is going to stop playing the game. Hopefully, in minimal violence, minimally violent way. But, you know, we saw that we saw that people are not opposed from rioting, taking to the streets, burning things down, breaking windows, and I'm talking about BLM, not January 6th. Because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. People think, you know, there's that whole thing of like January 6th was the darkest day in history. No, dude. No, it really, truly wasn't. Was it buffoonery? Yeah, it truly, absolutely was buffoonery. But it wasn't any sort of different buffoonery than we've been seeing for the last decade, nearly a decade. It's a bunch of crybabies not getting their way and running amok. And to pretend like it's one-sided is delusional. Like, it's crazy. But there seems to be half the population of this country doesn't see it that way. And it really makes me question, like, I don't know, man. When did people lose their ability to think? And then did they ever truly have the ability to think? I don't know. My faith is shook to its core. Yeah. I really should have put more thought into all of this if I was going to get back into it, but who knows? I don't even want to talk about it. What are you going to be for Halloween? We're going to be Winnie the Pooh as a family. I'm Tigger. I miss Halloween when I was a kid. Like, a lot. While I was trying to get my son Rhodes to go to sleep, I was watching YouTube, and I came across a YouTube video. I guess it's the whole channel, but I came across a YouTube video where it was like 3 hours of Fox for kids from the 90s. And it was just like everything was related to the season. Like, everything was Halloween themed, like the commercial, like the shows, obviously, but the commercials too. Like, I don't feel like that's a thing anymore. You know what I mean? And that really, I really feel like it added a lot of like magic to the season, where you were fully engulfed into the spirit of the season. Like, everywhere you looked, everything that you saw was related to like whatever holiday was occurring at the time. And I wonder what possessed that to go away. Like what stopped that being a tactic of marketing? You know what I mean? Do people just not really care about Halloween anymore? That's kind of a bummer to think about too. Man, I don't even know where to go anymore right now. I have this I feel my brain spinning, and I'm trying to grab thoughts to force them out of my mouth, but can't really grab anything. I can't really grab anything. Here's the thought too, when it comes to this whole upcoming election. There's been a whole lot of calling Trump a liar. And I'm not saying that he's not one. I don't think he is more so than anyone else, but to me it seems like he's a dude that really wears who he is on his sleeve and doesn't care what anyone thinks. And then they have this delusion that their side, their team, their candidates are nothing but just the most honest individuals that have ever existed. Even with the evidence that they're not. It's just this willful ignorance to ignore the obvious because it feeds into into their derangement. You know, I'm going to choose to ignore the obvious because it'll make me feel better about my choices. Seems to be the mindset. And that's kooky. That's extremely bizarre to me. And I hope it's bizarre to you too. I hope me saying this triggers some sort of agreement where you're like, yeah, that makes sense. I just want things to make sense so desperately. Logic and reason have really become extinct. And that's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, Trump there's been 2 assassination attempts on him. And it's just kind of it's so easily ignored by some people. Can't we think about hey, why is that happening? Why is that only happening to him too? They call him and the whole right side the party of violence and disinformation and all these negative connotations, but it's not there. That's not the side trying to kill other people. You know what I mean? There's all this crazy rhetoric of the right conservatives want to eliminate trans people or the LBGTC4 question mark community. And it's just kind of yeah, but there's no active violence occurring towards that community at all. You know, there's just a lot of verbal acknowledgement of how things are crazy, drag queens doing story hour for kids. That's bananas. That's nuts. I don't have issue with dudes dressing up as over the top caricatures of women and provocatively cabaret performances. I just feel there's a a time and place for it, and like afternoons in a library is not the time nor the place. And when and if you believe that, if you say that, you're some kind of bigot all of a sudden. And then when you're labeled a bigot for feeling that way, you automatically become a persona non grata all the way around. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. If you say like, okay, I have no problem with like the trans community. I don't care if you're a guy who feels like you're a girl, then you dress like one and live like one. But I'm not going to deny biological proof that makes you some sort of bad person. But it's like, no, I'm just remaining in reality. You know, how was that? How was that not crazy? Like, I have no hateful feelings towards people living opposed to some sort of status quo, but if you refuse to deny what's real, then you are somehow evil. It's like, what? Like, huh? It's baffling. It's baffling that the departure from reality has become the norm. You know? And I'm curious if there are those out there watching this or listening to this who hear that and go like, "Oh, this guy's a fascist now." When nothing I'm saying is related to what fascism actually is. But if you think a dude with a ding dong and a beard shouldn't use the ladies' room, you get a whole bunch of labels that are unrelated to the idea of just that commonplace piece of reality. And those people who cast that kind of judgment are allowed to vote. And I'm throwing myself into the mix with those people. Isn't that nuts? Isn't that wild? Because again, I don't care. I couldn't care less, to be honest with you, about basically everyone in this world that's not my friend, like my family, my immediate family and friends. You know, go do your thing, homie. Go do you. Do whatever you got to do. Freedom. I believe in freedom. I believe in freedom. I believe in free speech. I think as long as you're not hurting others, go do your thing. Let your freak flag fly. But simply because I maintain a grasp on what is true, what is real, I'm a pariah. It's bonkers, dude. It's bonkers. I really consider myself a centrist. I sit in the middle because there are things that on both sides make sense and don't make sense. But you're not allowed to sit in the middle. I mean, I take that back. It seems like the red team allows you to sit in the middle. The blue team doesn't. The blue team's like, it's either you're all in or you're the enemy. And that just pushes people to the opposing team. Because it's like, you want me to be your enemy, I'll be your enemy. That's fine. I mean, that's a poor choice on your side. That's a questionable maneuver to not want to even try to coax people to your side by simply having a conversation, just a rational conversation, you know? Like, how is it that you can be like, look, I support your freedom to do whatever, but I also really covet my freedom as well to say, think, and believe the things that I take a stance on. And it's just like, hold on a second. Like, you're allowed to say and do whatever you want, but if my doing and saying whatever I want isn't 110% aligned with yours, it is impossible for us to find a common ground. That's huh? What? That's the antithesis of what you say you believe in. Man, my background is not. I changed my back. Remember I had that glowing skull back there? I didn't have access to candles to provide some epic backlighting, but you know, we make do with what we got. Yeah, dog. I don't know, man. I don't know. And it's just such surface level things that people choose to ignore. You know, like our government right now is sending incomprehensible amounts of money to other countries. And we're going through some really chaotic events happening as we speak. As this is being recorded, there is a Category 5 hurricane basically wiping Florida out. And there's little to no aid being offered to citizens of this country. Yet Ukraine and Palestine and like that's where all the aid and like support's going. I don't, what happened to taking care of your own first? That should be a common sense move to everyone. Like, how do you not take care of your own first? I don't know, man. That's a real questionable situation at play. And it's being willfully ignored by so many. Like, I feel like that would be enough to be like, oh, I'm not going to vote for this team because they clearly don't care about the home squad. Like, I don't care about Ukraine. I don't care about Gaza and Palestine and Israel. Like, I don't care. I think it's horrible that people are losing their lives, that kids are being hurt, because children never should be hurt. Kids have every child should be like shown the utmost care, no matter where they're from. Because, I mean, they're innocent. But beyond that, whatever social strife and political animosities that exist elsewhere, like, that's their business. You know? Like, I just don't care. I care about here because I live here. The people I care about live here or in Portugal. You know, that's where my loyalties lie. But then there's people out there who are like, you don't support Palestine, then you're some sort of wretch. But why? I have no connection over there. I have no dog in that fight. If Ukraine just becomes more Russia, then okay. That's their thing. I don't want lives to be lost. I don't want anyone to die. I don't want hardships for anyone, but at the same time, I'm not going, it doesn't have an effect on my life. Prices at the grocery store when I'm trying to feed my family of 6 here, that impacts my life directly. So that's what I care about. What's going on in schools here, that impacts my life directly because it impacts my children. Well, I homeschool now, so I don't have to worry about what's going on in those institutions. But I don't know, dude. I don't know. And it's crazy to think that people who have more, I guess I'll say, heart for citizens of other countries over the well-being of citizens in the country that they live in, like, they get to vote too. Like, there needs to be more the right to be involved in the okay, here the argument: if voting is as impactful and meaningful as folks want you to believe, then I really feel like there needs to be more of a it needs to be more exclusive to those who are able to prove they're capable of common sense. You know what I mean? Because if any freak on the street can just go and cast their vote, like, it really tarnishes the man, what's the word I'm looking for? It tarnishes the I don't want validity. It tarnishes the I don't know, but it really dumbs it down, you know? So I'm just depressing myself. You know what a big bummer was? Is when my wife got home, we started talking about some of this stuff, and I went into one of my rants, and I think anytime I go into one of those rants, it burns me out. It burns me out, and I just find myself at a loss of words. So you're getting the aftermath. I threw all my hits out earlier. I promise I make a lot of good points. Just ask her for what she chooses to listen to. I don't know, man. I don't know. The whole wokeism cult just bums me out. Because it is a cult, man. It really is. It's like, it's an ideology that's all or nothing. And then the same people like have the gall to bash Christianity and stuff, and not saying that like I'm a defender of Christianity, but it's just like, how do you find it to be different? It's like the problem with atheists. Atheists run around like, no, I don't have a religion. No, your religion is atheism. Like, you have a line of tenets that you live by, that you think others should live by, and it's just like, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's difficult being smarter than so many people. It's challenging. Where was I going? I don't know. I keep singing Danzig songs in my head, though, and that's probably in large part where I'm getting distracted. Distracted. What did I say? Distracted. That's what I wanted to say. Distracted. The hurricane thing's really freaking me out, though. Like, it's crazy what's going on. Like, watching all the people trying to escape Florida right now. And then, like, people are trying to escape Florida, and Florida has run out of gas. Like, ugh. That seems to be a big problem to me. It seems like somebody in power who is running for more power should be like, we're going to divert funds and efforts to get people out of the state and to safety. You know? But no, we're going to send billions of dollars of aid to Lebanon because that's more important. Which I think the people of Lebanon should be helped in any way they can, but at the cost of helping people here, that doesn't seem right. Seems a bit loony to me. Does that make me a racist? I bet it does. I bet somebody out there thinks I'm a racist now because I said that. But what is racism really? You know? It's the explicit hatred towards a group of people, right? To my understanding, like a blind hatred towards an ethnic group. But I kind of feel like that's something that only matters here. Because America is a melting pot of people from everywhere in the world, all come together to try and live harmoniously with one another. But then every other country, like China, is just full of Chinese people. Spain is full of Spanish. France is full of the French. And you know, these places seemingly take great national pride in their country and the citizens of their country, and would, I imagine, put their fellow countrymen above those of any other country. Is that racism too? Like, if people from Spain hold the Spanish to a higher degree of anyone from anywhere else, is that racist? Like, I joke, I jest, I say, I you know, if you're not Portuguese, then you're a little less than. Is that racism? I guess. I've been told it is, and I think that's funny. Because I'm joking, really. Like, I don't truly believe that Portuguese people are the only ones who matter. But it's a pride of heritage. You know? It's like the World Cup. I'm rooting for my roots. It's like the Olympics. But it's also racist. I don't know. Is it? It's all confusing. It's all, I guess it's all just personal perception. But then it's not. It's also part of some sort of like greater mind virus. I'm losing it, guys. I'm losing it. I miss the days where I mocked everybody during election seasons. I miss the days where I just looked at everybody going to vote like, hey, it doesn't matter. You get your little I voted sticker, and it's like, you did what? What did you really do? You're a grain of sand on a beach. Like, your opinion, does it truly matter? And now I'm in it. Now I'm in it. I'm in it with all the other dummies. And that's what bums me out the most. I really feel that I'm losing my best friend. I got no doubt stuck in my head. Yeah. This isn't entertaining at all, is it? But I'm going to put it out anyway. Maybe people will listen. Maybe people won't. But you know what? I'm remaining consistent. I'm remaining consistent in the content being produced. I really want to get off this topic. I truly do. So let's grab something else in that tornado going on in my head. Candy corn. Candy corn has really become something astonishing this year. Not candy corn itself, but the, what is it? Mallow? What is that stuff made of? Oh, geez. I had the little metronome. So if you heard some tickings, that's what it was. No, open that. Open the internet. We're going somewhere else. I'm sick of this ish. Candy corn. Candy corn. Candy corn. What do you got to say? Candy corn is a small pyramid-shaped candy typically divided into 3 sections of different colors with a waxy texture and a flavor based on honey, sugar, butter, and vanilla. All great things. It's a staple candy of the fall season and Halloween in North America. Okay. I didn't actually know that the base flavors of candy corn were honey, sugar, butter, and vanilla. The most surprising in that is butter. That's unexpected. What was setting me off on this was every year, for as long as I can remember, candy corn also offered those pumpkins. And the pumpkins were always my favorite. Candy corn is good. You know, there's people out there who don't like candy corn. That's crazy to me too. That's nuts. Like there's people who are like, no, it's disgusting. What's disgusting about it? Like, the word disgusting and the flavors of honey, sugar, butter, and vanilla don't mesh with me. Is it the waxy texture? Because even then, that doesn't bother me. It's akin to taffy, and who doesn't love taffy? But you know what I'm talking about, right? They have the pumpkins. In the most recent years, and I think I remember this from when I was a kid too, they have the autumn mix that comes with like your standard candy corn, and then you get like the candy corn that instead of the yellow base, it has the brown base, which is apparently chocolate. Well, this year, and then in that same autumn mix are the pumpkins, and they all taste the same mostly. I do get a hint of chocolate with like the brown based ones, but the pumpkins were always like the best, the cream of the crop. And then they started making the bags of just the pumpkins, and that was really cool. Well, this year, at the grocery store, I found that along with just the pumpkins, the company that makes candy corn, like your conventional, bag of candy corn, like that yellow bag, they also have made autumn leaves. And each of there are different shaped leaves, different color leaves, and each leaf has a different flavor, which was wild to me. It's like, man, they're really stepping up this seasonal treat game. And then beyond that, they also started making apple-shaped ones with a brown backing, which is apparently caramel. So they're like caramel, and they taste like caramel apples. It's wild. And I wonder if the people who hate candy corn also wouldn't like those other newfound flavors. I'm curious. I'm very much curious about that. Because my whole family we were astounded by this revelation. Let's see. Candy corn's traditional colors of yellow, orange, and white represent the colors of the fall harvest or of corn on the cob, with the wide yellow end resembling a corn kernel. I actually learned that in my adulthood. I never actually understood that the bottom was supposed to look like corn. Now, does that mean I'm a dummy? Maybe. I'm going to vote this election, so I actually do kind of consider myself a dummy. Candy corn has a reputation for generating polarizing responses, with articles referring to it as Halloween's most contentious sweet, which people either love or hate. A history of it. Chicken feed was the original candy name. That I didn't know. With production starting in the late 1880s, it was first invented by the 1880, it was first invented in the 1880s by a Wunderle, 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 it's a German, Wunderle Candy Company employee, by a Wunderle Candy Company employee, George Rainier. Wunderle Candy Company was the first to produce the candy in 1888. Wow. Do you think in 1988 they had like a centennial celebration of candy corn? The Goelitz. How do you say that? The Goltz, I don't know how to say it, confectionery company, now called Jelly Belly, began manufacturing the product in 1898. Candy corn is made by Jelly Belly? Wow. Variations. There's Cupid corn, bunny corn, harvest corn, and reindeer corn. I don't think I've seen any of those, except harvest corn. Let's see. While Jelly Belly still makes candy corn, the largest manufacturer of candy corn is Brock's Confectionaries. That's who I was thinking of. That like traditional yellow bag, Brock's. And I believe that's how you say it. BRACH. Apostrophe S. It's either Bratch or Brock's. Bratches or Brock's. I'm going to say Brock's. Brock's Confectionery, owned by the Ferrara Candy Company. Brock's makes approximately 7 billion pieces of candy corn per year and possesses 85% of the total share of the company, or no, not company, 85% of the total share of the candy corn industry during the Halloween season. I botched that thanks to my dyslexia. So let's try it again. Box makes approximately 7 billion pieces of candy corn per year and possesses 85% of the total share of the candy corn industry during the Halloween season. Got it. Along with other agricultural inspired treats in the late 19th century, America's confectioners sought to market candy corn to a largely rural society. During the late 19th century, buttercream candies molded into many types of nature-inspired shapes, including chestnuts, turnips, and clover leaves, were quite popular, but what made candy corn stand out was its bright and iconic tricolor layering. Although it is currently most popular in the fall, candy corn was only sometimes associated with the fall and Halloween seasons. For the first half of the 20th century, candy corn was well-known penny candy or bulk confectionery. It was advertised as an affordable and popular treat that could be eaten year-round. Now, the flavors of honey, vanilla, butter, and what was the last one? I'm definitely missing one. Vanilla. Did I say vanilla? Honey, sugar, butter, and vanilla. Those flavors can definitely be enjoyed year-round. But that taste, that distinct candy corn taste, I don't think I could ever depart from associating it with fall. Candy corn developed into a fall and Halloween staple around the 1950s when people began to hand out individually wrapped candy to trick-or-treaters. Wow, trick-or-treating is a development of the 1950s? That's interesting. The harvest-themed colors and increased advertising in October also helped candy corn become a fall staple. Well, yeah. The National Confectioners Association has deemed October 30th, the day before Halloween, National Candy Corn Day. Well, that's exciting. I'm going to acknowledge that this year. Sales as of 2016, annual production in the United States was 35 million pounds, or almost 9 billion pieces of candy. The majority of candy corn sales occurred in Halloween. Yeah, we know that. Production. Originally, the candy was made by hand. Manufacturers first combined sugar, corn syrup, water. Oh, and water. Okay, so they combined sugar, corn syrup, and water and cooked them to form a slurry. Ugh. The word slurry was not. I don't enjoy that they use that word. Fondant was added for extra. Or no, not extra. Dude, I'm telling you, something up in my brain. It's probably because it's like 2:30 in the morning. Fondant was added for texture, and marshmallows were added to provide a soft bite. The final mixture was hardened, or it's not hardened. That's not the word that's there. The final mixture was heated and poured into shaped molds. 3 passes, one for each colored section, were required during the pouring process. The recipe is similar today. The production method, called cornstarch modeling, likewise remains the same, though tasks initially performed by hand were soon taken over by machines made for that purpose. You know what? The machines are taking over. There's no denying it. Now AI is taking over. There's no denying that either. Ingredients. Candy corn is made with sugar, corn syrup, salt, sesame oil, honey, artificial flavor, food colorings, gelatin, and confectioner's glaze. The confectioner's glaze is made from, is that an L? Yeah, lac resin, a bug secretion. Okay, that's a little, what is this? Lac resin. Lac is the resinous secretion of a number of species of lac insects, of which the most commonly cultivated is Caria laca. I could have lived very happily not knowing that there was a bug secretion in candy corn. Now I'm almost arguing for the people who hate it. Variants. Here we go. A popular variation called harvest corn adds cocoa powder. It features a chocolate brown wide end, orange center, and pointed white tip. It is often available around Thanksgiving. Not anymore. It's kicks off right when other candy corn comes out during Halloween. But you know what? That would be kind of cool if that was strictly a Thanksgiving rendition of the candy. During the Halloween season, blackberry cobbler candy corn can be found in eastern Canada, as well as candy corn shaped like pumpkins. There you go. Confectioners have introduced additional color variants suited for other holidays. The Easter candy corns are exactly what you would imagine. Very pastel bases. The Christmas variant, sometimes called reindeer corn, typically has a red end and a green center. The Valentine's Day variant, sometimes called Cupid corn, typically has a red end and a pink center. In the United States, during Independence Day celebrations, corn with a blue end, white center, and red tip, named Freedom Corn, oh man, that's cool, can be found at celebratory cookouts and patriotic celebrations. I don't think I've ever seen Freedom Corn. The Easter variant, sometimes called bunny corn, is typically a two-colored candy and comes with a variety of pastel bases, pink, green, yellow, and purple, with white tips all in one package. Man, I want to find all these different variations of candy corn now. There have been caramel. Okay, here you go. See, this is what I was talking about. There have been caramel apple and green apple, s'mores, and pumpkin spice carrot corn, green and orange with a carrot cake flavor. Never seen those either. And birthday cake candy corn flavors. What? In 2022, Box released a tailgate variant with fruit punch, vanilla ice cream, popcorn, hot dog, and hamburger flavored pieces. What? Hamburger and hot dog flavored candy corn? Oh, this is much more wild than I thought it would be. Candy corn flavored snacks have become more widely available, with candy corn flavored variants of snack foods and candy, including Oreos, M&Ms, marshmallows, and more. Huh. And that's really the gist of it. That is fascinating to me. Where can I find these horrifically flavored candy corns, like the hot dog and hamburger flavored ones? They're recent, 2022, they released the tailgate variant. I want to see what that looks like. They gave us like the color schemed version, like descriptions for all the other holiday variants of candy corn, but not tailgate. Let's see. Tailgate. Oh. Tailgate candy corn. Let's look at this. Imagage. Tailgate. So it looks like there's a pink with an orange base, which I'm imagining is fruit punch, white with an orange base, which I imagine being the popcorn flavor. There's like a yellow-ish, orange-ish with a red base, which one would have that been? That one would have been vanilla ice cream, maybe. And then an orange with a red base and another variant of orange with a red base. So I'm guessing those are hamburger and hot dog flavored. Oh, wait, here we go. This shows us right here. Yeah, so the pink base with the red top, fruit punch. The red base with the yellowy orange is hamburger. It's very McDonald's-esque. There's a yellow with a yellow base with a white top. That's popcorn. There's a kind of tan base with a pink top, and that's hot dog. It looks kind of hot dog reminiscent. And then there's like a brown-ish tan base with a white creamy looking top, and that was vanilla ice cream. Fascinating. Man, this was a fun rabbit hole to fall down in, especially after all that politics talk. Hopefully you survived my very sporadic and nearly incoherent ramblings about this voting season to make it to this candy corn portion. This is such a stupid podcast. Wow, I've been going for another hour and 21 minutes. Dang, dude, this is a long episode. All right, well, let's just wrap it up here. Let's end on candy corn, because that's a good palate cleanser and a good signing off area. I do apologize for that middle segment of my incoherence when it comes to the state of the world. Hopefully that last bit of candy corn insight brought it back around. But if you're a candy corn hater and you don't like bug secretions, then maybe you hated that part too. But next episode, we'll see. We'll see if it gets better. If you didn't like this, try something else. Go to leallegacy.com and scope out all the other killer content we have available for you. There might be something to more akin to your palate, your entertainment palate. Leallegacy.com. We got a bunch of commentaries, cartoon commentaries, movie commentaries, vloggy, POV stuff, and our family vlog. We got our POV vlog is called Legacy View. You can find that on YouTube and on leallegacy.com. You can find our family vlog, Legacy of Leal, also at leallegacy.com and on YouTube. I am just about done with the edit for our very first video premiering. It's our day at Disney's Animal Kingdom. We've got some more videos that will be going up that are seasonal. Like, we're taking trips to all the pumpkin patches in the area, so that'll be fun and very, seasonally relevant. And we got Leal Legacy Gaming, which is hosted and presented by my son Bane. He does loads of live streams, and they're all archived on YouTube and our leallegacy.com. And then what else? Leal Legacy Music. Go scope out the songs that I craft utilizing artificial intelligence. Speaking of which, we're going to go out on the latest of said songs called Frankenstein Factory. It's a nice Nashville-y country ditty about working in a factory making Frankenstein monsters. It's a good one. I like it a lot. That'll also be available independently on the Leal Legacy music channel. All these channels, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a posting. Legacy Club Clothing, legacyclubclo.com. You can also find a link there at leallegacy.com. Scope out all the cool gear, branded gear of the Leal Legacy there. Pick yourself up something nice. Get something nice for somebody else. The economy is dog dookie right now, so I understand if you're not in the financial state to go frivolously spend some money and some cool apparel. Well, you could counter that and still show your support just by simply watching our videos on YouTube and subscribing to this podcast, leaving a rating and review, hopefully a kind one. But it's getting cold outside. It's getting cold outside. We're entering the cold months of the year, so you may want to grab one of our really comfortable, I gotta say, really comfortable hoodies. Like, I'm really stoked to get actually some new hoodies for the family. Grab one of those. But yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Keep a lookout for the next episode. Like, subscribe, hit notification bells, do all those things. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thanks for being a friend, telling a friend, and I hope you enjoy Frankenstein Factory. Until next time, goodbye.
Another day, another dime. Clocking in, I'm right on time. In the shadows of the smokestacks, where the iron meets the spine, we piece together bodies in this cold assembly line. But there ain't no life worth living when you're stitching up the blind. In the Frankenstein factory, where the dead come to life, but the heart of the worker gets buried by the knife. We build them up strong with bolts and wire and sin, but the soul of the maker is where the darkness begins. I used to dream of daylight, now I only see the gray in the stitches and the metal where the bodies lay. We breathe life into monsters while our life slips away in this endless repetition where the living learn to stay. In the Frankenstein factory, where the dead come to life, but the heart of the worker gets buried by the knife. We build them up strong with bolts and wire and sin, but the soul of the maker is where the darkness begins. I hear the hum of engines and the clank of rusty chains. The rhythm of the factory runs deep within my veins. But every piece I hammer, every bolt I strain, feels like a nail in the coffin of a man who's gone insane. In the Frankenstein factory, where the dead come to life, but the heart of the worker gets buried by the knife. We build them up strong with bolts and wire and sin, but the soul of the maker is where the darkness begins. begins. Another day, another dime, as the smoke fills the sky, in the Frankenstein factory, where the living come to die.